Hello and welcome guys. In today's video, I'll be teaching you how to make a very simple texture pack for Minecraft Bedrock Edition. Next time, I will make a Bedrock Sky tutorial, Java Sky tutorial, and a Java texture pack tutorial. If you're not aware, you can also use a lot of texture packs to do stuff that modding you can do a lot more with texture packs nowadays than you could in the past. But with that all out of the way, let's get started. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do first is go onto your desktop, or in this case, I'm just using File Explorer. Right-click in your space, go down to New, and go over to Folder. Once that's this is going to be the name of your pack. So name the folder the name you want for your pack. In this case, I'm just going to call it Video Pack. So in this case, I'm just going to call it Video Pack. Once that's done, now we're going to head over to your browser. Alright, just open up any web browser if you're choosing and go to the search bar, and all we have to type is just Bedrock Samples. Pretty straightforward. Click enter. This should be your first result, is a GitHub page. If it's not, it is probably a scam. So make sure it says GitHub on it, but it should be your first result. Click on that. Alright, you should be taken to the GitHub page. I'm going to close the previous tab. Alright, so you'll be greeted with this page. You'll notice up here, this is the latest version of Minecraft. This should be up to date. If it's not, there is ways to get previous versions of the Bedrock samples, but I'm not going to be showcasing that in this video. So, in this case, it is version 1.26.20.4. So, there are a few things in the Bedrock samples. There's a behavior pack and a resource pack. We're going to be getting the resource pack. So, the behavior pack, for the modders, that's not going to have everything to do with add-on making. You're going to want to go to the vanilla data folder using admin stuff. With that all the way, we're going to be getting the resource pack. So go up to this thing that says code. And then there should be a button here to download zip. So just click that. It should download. All right, once that's done, you can close your browser. All right, next. All right, now that that's finished downloading off the GitHub, next you're going to go down to your downloads folder and grab out your Bedrock samples and move it to your desktop. In this case, I'm moving it to my File Explorer. All right, now that that's done, there are two ways to do this. I'm going to be doing it the easier way, so that way I don't have to copy a whole bunch of stuff and then delete it. The other option is to make a temporary folder, move this in, and then extract all in the zip file. The easier way is to just go into the zip folder and go into here, find the resource pack, and then just drag this out and put it onto your desktop. A lot of people will just have you make a temporary folder and then have you extract everything and then delete the excess stuff. That can work, but this I feel like just saves a little bit more time, so it doesn't have to copy everything just so you can delete everything. All right, it is finished copying. So now you can safely put this and move this to your trash. Just don't permanently delete it right now. I'm just moving it to my recycle bin in case I need it again. Now, I'm going to move this back into my File Explorer so you can see it. All right, so now that we have this will have every single texture in the entire game. So there you'll also notice there is not every single thing that you need in here. There is animation controllers and other stuff besides textures. So we can delete all these and save more time. All right, there, and then we're going to delete the UI as well. So there's a pack icon. We're going to be needing this. Technically, you can make your own PNG, and then you can use pretty much any PNG, and then you can just rename the PNG to pack_icon. You do not need this specific one, but I'm just going to use it in my case, so I'm going to just keep that one. We're going to need the manifest. Again, you can also make your own text document and then add, instead of .txt, you can change it to .json. That can also work, but I'm just going to use this. And then we can delete those three things, and now we just have the textures. So yeah. All right. So now we're going to grab the textures folder out of the resource pack folder. We're going to move the textures into our pack, the video pack. In this case, we're going to then also move the manifest and pack icon in there as well. We do not need this resource pack folder anymore, so bye-bye. And now now we can modify, there's a few things we can do here. We're going to need to go to the manifest in just a second. If you want, you can work on your pack icon now and, get that to the way you want. All right, but now we're going to go into the textures. So as I said in the intro, you can change lots of other things in a texture pack than you used to. Like in certain circumstances, you don't need a behavior pack. So that is really advanced, and you can look up tutorials of how to use just texture packs to change a lot of things. However, in this video, I'm just going to be covering texturing in the texture packs. So with that all the way, there is a bunch of different folders of different types of textures. I am not going to be, if you do not want to change those textures, then just delete those folders. You're going to save tons of space when you have a texture pack and then you just have a bunch of textures that you don't even use. It just takes up a bunch of space, and then if you want to overlay your pack, then the overlays aren't going to work because your pack has those textures already in use. So overlays don't work when that's in the case. So if you're not going to use the textures, just delete them. In this case, I'm not going to be changing any blocks, so I'm going to delete the blocks. You get the point. All right, now that I've finished deleting the unnecessary folders I don't want to change, then we're left with this. So you can delete a few things. You can delete some of these. This is what you can delete: texture list, terrain texture, force field atlas, flipbook textures, flame atlas, and flame atlas again. So those are the 6 files you can delete. You can delete those. You do not need those. You will need this one if you're having items. If you're going to be changing the items, you're going to need this. So make sure this is still in if you're going to change any of the item textures. All right, so now we're going to go into the items because I want to change some items. Again, if you're not changing certain items, delete those items if you're not going to change them. In this case, I would like to change the copper spear. So I'm going to just change the copper spear. I don't want to really change anything else. So in this case, I'm literally just going to go over here. So now I just want the texture is not going to function properly, such as this. This copper spear right here has copper spear dot texture underscore set dot JSON and a dot TGA. So we can't delete any of those because that will help. That needs to be a part of that texture item. We cannot delete those. All right, so I'm going to delete everything else, and that just leaves the copper spear. All right, the next step is texturing. All right, so for this step, you can just open up any texturing app that you choose to change your item, such as Krita, Paint.net, 3D Paint. I think that's discontinued actually, so never mind. Painting app you can use, and you can change the texture. Whatever you like the best, you can use. All right, so I've finished texturing my copper spear. Just kind of simple. I didn't really want to do anything crazy. All right, so now we're going to go back out of that. I've changed my mind. I'm not going to change anything in the environment. So I'm going to delete that now. So then we're going to go back again till we see the textures folder, manifest, and pack icon. So if you didn't already, you can do your pack icon now, or come up with your own PNG and name it pack underscore icon. So, all right, but anyways, the next step is we're going to need to open. The next step is we're going to have to work with the manifest.json. All right, so let's get started. So if you're using the Bedrock samples and you use the manifest.json that was given to you, that's okay. We're just gonna have to change some stuff. If you didn't and made your own, that is okay. Just make sure everything like this that you see here is correct if you make your own. All right, with that out of the way, we're going to work with the first thing, which is the description and name. So just name. The description can be just about the pack, and then for the name, again, you can just pick anything of your choosing. I'm just gonna do video pack. Now this is the version, so this is the version of your pack. Preferably, like it's saying, it should be version 1.0.0, but it's not going to hurt if you do 0.01. I'm just going to do version 1.0.0 because it's the first version of my pack. Sorry, I saved it, so now line indenting for me. All right, so the next step is the UUID and the minimum engine version. The minimum engine version is extremely simple. That's just the minimum engine version that it will run on for Minecraft if you're using a different version of Minecraft. All right, next is the UUID. If you are working in Visual Studio Code, this step will be a little bit easier, but it'll be about the same no matter what. So this UUID is not going to work, so you're going to delete that UUID. All right, so you're gonna have to delete the UUID because that's going to be not good. It's not going to work. So if you're working in Visual Studio Code, you can just go in between these two quotes and right click, and then you're going to if you have this installed, then you just have to click the generate UUID at cursor, and it will automatically generate a UUID. To install this, it's extremely simple. You just have to go to the Visual Studio extensions and then just look up UUID generator. They're pretty easy to find. Next, we're going to go down to the bottom UUID because this one also has to be changed. So we're going to, as well, do the same thing. If you do not have Visual Studio Code and don't have the extensions, you can just look up an online UUID generator, and it can generate one for you. Then you'll also notice a description down there. Usually I just copy paste the description from the top into the bottom, so that way they match. But now that that's out of the way, the manifest.json is done. Now we can move on to the next step. You can do a bit more stuff in the manifest.json for more complicated texture packs, but I'm not going to be covering that in today's video. All right, so that is literally everything done. You just have to make sure that you saved your manifest.json by either doing Command S or Control S, and that will save your project in the text editor. So now that that's done, now all we have to do is extremely simple. We're going to exit out of our pack, and we're going to right click on it. Make sure you're right clicked on and select the pack and right click it. Make sure you right click the pack and go down to compress to zip file. Let it compress. Once it's completed its compressed state, just click enter, right click on it again and go to rename. And now we're going to go all the way to the right, and we're going to change the .zip to a .mc pack. Not an MC addon, an MC pack. It has to be MC pack or it's not going to work. Make sure it's that. All right, now click enter. Windows might pop a prompt that you're changing it. Just click yes. And now it will change to a Minecraft grass side icon, like a Minecraft logo thing. And now all you have to do is just double click it and it will launch Minecraft. All right, now once you double clicked it, it will say import started, and then if it says successfully imported pack, that means it is successfully imported into the game. All right, so now we're going to go into settings, scroll down until you see global resource packs, click that, and now you should see active should have none. Then go under my packs and you should see go until you see your pack. In this case, it's the video pack. Click on it and then click activate. And that should add it to the active. Just click out of settings. It will reload the resources. And now we'll close out of that. We're going to load into a world. We can see if it's working. All right, so I'm here in my building testing world. All right, we're going to go under spears. And as you can see, it has changed it. If you notice, the icon has changed, but not the physical item, like the model. If you guys are not up to date, if you haven't watched my add-on tutorials, model items are different than the icon. So since this is a spear, it will not change the model, it will only change the item icon. So for items like that, you're going to have to retexture them in Blockbench from their models. If you want a tutorial for that, let me know down in the comments. But otherwise, that is actually everything for making a texture pack. Now, if you are There is ways in Bedrock to also get custom skies. I have a few packs of those if you want to check out. If you want a tutorial of how to make custom skies, let me know down in the comments as well. I might make one of those. And for Java packs, it's extremely simple. If you want another tutorial for that, let me know down in the comments. With all that said, that is everything for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. And this is my second channel. My main channel is Blade XP. Subscribe to that and this one. But otherwise, I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.